The galaxy had cataloged fear. It had studied it, weaponized it, dissected it in laboratories orbiting dying stars. Entire civilizations had been broken apart and analyzed so thoroughly that their extinction had been reduced to academic papers. Fear was a measurable constant. The Carthun Dominion fed on it. They were not monsters in the crude biological sense. They did not roar, they did not snarl, they did not invade screaming across planetary skies. They were patient, ancient, precise. For 12 million standard cycles, the Dominion had expanded without resistance worth recording. They consumed star systems one by one, not by brute destruction, but by inevitability. Their ships were cathedral-sized constructs of dark alloy and gravitational manipulation fields. Their weapons did not explode, they erased. Their soldiers were bioengineered titans encased in adaptive exoshells that could survive stellar radiation bursts. When the Dominion arrived in a system, resistance followed a predictable curve. Denial, hope, desperation, collapse, and then compliance. Every species broke. Some lasted weeks, a few lasted years. One, the crystalline veil ascendancy, lasted 73 standard cycles before their final bastion star was extinguished. The Dominion never rushed. Time was an expendable resource, and nothing in the universe had ever made them afraid. Until the Sol system. The first report was dismissed as an anomaly. A Dominion scout vessel entered Sol's outer orbit expecting the usual primitive signatures: fragmented radio chatter, inefficient energy grids, unstable governance systems. Instead, the scout detected 14721 orbital defense satellites, 327 autonomous drone carriers, 9 planetary shield prototypes, and 1 signal broadcasting on all frequencies. The message was not a plea, it was not a warning, it was music. The Carthun analysts spent 11 minutes determining its purpose. It was titled, "Welcome to the Jungle." The scout ship transmitted its standard ultimatum in return. You are now within the territorial acquisition zone of the Carthun Dominion. Surrender planetary control. Biological integration will ensure survival. Resistance will be educational. The human response arrived 32 seconds later. New phone? Who dis? The Carthun interpreted this as a translation malfunction. They sent the message again. The response changed. Oh, you're the scary conqueror guys. Cool, we've been expecting you. The scout vessel attempted to scan Earth's surface for signs of panic. There were none. Cities continued functioning. Military installations powered up, but not chaotically, methodically. Within 3 minutes, the scout vessel detected target locks. Within 4 minutes, it attempted withdrawal. It never completed the maneuver. A kinetic projectile, launched from Luna's far side, impacted the vessel at 0.04 light speed. The Carthun had encountered plasma weapons. They had endured antimatter detonations. They had adapted to gravitational shear cannons. But no species had ever simply thrown something at them that fast. The scout vessel ceased to exist. The Dominion did not feel fear. They felt irritation. A fleet was dispatched. 300 capital vessels, 6,000 warforms, enough force to erase a mid-tier galactic coalition. Sol was categorized as a corrective example. Humanity watched the fleet arrive. The footage streamed globally. Humanity had been preparing for this moment over a century, not because they knew the Carthun were coming, but because humans expected something to come. That was the difference. Every species the Dominion had conquered had believed they were alone. Humanity had never believed that. From the moment they first looked at the stars, they assumed something was out there. And if something was out there, it probably wasn't friendly. So they prepared. Not under one banner, not under one government, but under a quiet, shared paranoia. The Dominion fleet translated into Sol space in perfect formation. Ships aligned geometrically, forming layered gravitational dominance fields. a display of inevitability. Then they detected something unexpected. Human ships were not in defensive formation, they were advancing. Admiral Kareth of the Dominion analyzed the tactical projection. Primitive, chaotic hull designs, mixed propulsion systems, non-uniform weapon placements. This was not a unified military doctrine, it was improvisation. Disorganized species broke faster. Kareth ordered forward suppression. The first Dominion beam lanced toward Mars. It struck and stopped. The human shield did not deflect the beam. It absorbed it, stored it, then redirected the energy through a series of orbital relays. The beam returned, amplified. It carved through the Dominion's frontline destroyer. Kareth paused. That had never happened before. Then the humans did something else unprecedented. They charged, not in formation, not in synchronized unity, individually. Thousands of independent captains accelerating directly at the Dominion line. Open channels flooded with human voices. For Earth, for Mars, for Luna. YOLO. The Dominion warforms launched to intercept. They were 20 meters tall, armored in adaptive plating, equipped with gravitational distortion cannons. The first human boarding torpedo impacted a Dominion cruiser. It did not explode, it embedded. Then it opened. Humans poured out, soft-skinned, fragile, ridiculously small. The warforms advanced. The first human died instantly. The second human detonated something attached to their armor. The explosion tore a warform in half. The third human tackled another warform and jammed a device into its chest cavity. The fourth human dragged a wounded comrade back under suppressive fire. They were not stronger. They were not faster. They were not technologically superior. They were furious.
On Earth, analysts noticed something strange in Dominion fleet movements. Micro-delays, hesitations, predictive algorithms recalculating too often. The Dominion had encountered resistance before. They had never encountered unpredictability. Humans did not follow optimal survival patterns. They sacrificed ships to create debris fields that interfered with Dominion sensors. They launched outdated nuclear weapons, not because they were effective, but because they disrupted energy harmonics. They rammed. They laughed on open comms. They played more music. The Dominion could not map behavior that defied self-preservation. And in that confusion, something microscopic and unprecedented occurred within their fleet command algorithms. A new variable: uncertainty. 3 hours into the engagement, Dominion casualties exceeded projections by 400%. Kareth reviewed battlefield footage from a captured cruiser. A human soldier, bleeding, helmet cracked, oxygen venting into vacuum, was still advancing. A warform impaled him through the torso. The human used the moment to attach an explosive charge directly to the warform's neural core. Both died. The recording ended in static. Kareth replayed it 3 times. The Dominion had studied fear in prey species for millions of cycles. This was not fear. This was something else, something aggressive, something that weaponized loss instead of succumbing to it. On Earth, a simple message broadcast from every major network: they can bleed. That changed everything. The Dominion escalated. Planetary bombardment authorization was granted. 3 capital ships aligned targeting vectors toward Earth. Human fleets attempted interception. Too slow. The first bombardment beam fired, and a ship jumped directly into its path. A civilian vessel, retrofit engines, improvised armor. It disintegrated. The beam weakened. The second ship jumped, then a third. Private transports, mining vessels, anything with engines. They stacked themselves between Earth and annihilation. Kareth's command chamber grew silent. This was irrational, strategically unsound, militarily absurd, and tactically devastating. Because the bombardment window closed. Human dreadnoughts flanked. Rail cannons fired. 2 Dominion capital ships fractured. For the first time in Dominion history, a full invasion fleet was pushed back, not destroyed, but forced to retreat beyond Sol's asteroid belt. The galaxy noticed. Other species had been watching from hidden observatories, whispering across encrypted channels. No one had ever survived first contact with the Dominion. Humanity had. Barely. Bloodied, burning, but alive. In the quiet that followed, Kareth compiled a report to the Dominion Core Intelligence. It included a term never before transmitted in 12 million cycles. Recommend re-evaluation of prey classification. There was a delay before the Core responded. The delay lasted 0.8 seconds longer than normal. In Dominion processing terms, that was hesitation. And somewhere deep in their predictive models, a new projection formed. If this species is not extinguished immediately, they will become the apex threat. On Earth, celebrations were brief. Casualty counts were catastrophic. Entire fleets lost, millions dead. But something else had been born in the fire. Unity. Not political, not ideological, existential. Humanity had discovered they were not alone, and instead of breaking, they had smiled. Far beyond Sol, the Dominion began assembling something they had not deployed in a million cycles. Total war constructs. Planet killers, stellar harvesters, eradication engines. They would not underestimate again. This time, they would not test, they would not negotiate, they would erase. And yet, within Dominion's strategic archives, a forbidden word began circulating among upper-tier command intelligences, a word they had only ever assigned to others: fear. On Earth, Admiral Reyes stood before a council chamber lit only by holographic projections of the retreating Dominion fleet. "They're coming back," someone whispered. Reyes nodded. "Good." The room turned toward her. She allowed herself the smallest grin. Now they know what they're dealing with. And across the void between stars, the greatest war the universe had ever seen began to form. Not because the Dominion had found a rival empire, not because humanity was stronger, but because for the first time in their eternal conquest, the Dominion had met something that did not break, and nothing terrified them more.